You seem hungry. Good thing your table is ready with Saturday Omaha.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this. Well, I'll say this is Dave with Saturday Omaha, and we are here on another episode of Food Recognized Food, where we talk to people in and around the restaurant industry. I am super fortunate to have a certified pizzaiolo in the location here, which would be David Losole of Virtuoso Pizzeria. David, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on here, Dave.
This is fantastic. So you and I have obviously talked several times in the pizzeria. You're kind enough to show me around the kitchen and things. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, we're here to talk about some pizza and talk about some food. And let's just kind of lead off with what's happening at Virtuoso first. Let's start there, and we'll just kind of branch out.
Well, what's happening at Virtuoso? I would say happening is pizza. Lots of pizza going on there.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think that people should know what's happening at Virtuoso is it's completely family, right? Like it's always myself, my wife, and my son. They're always the only three back there making your food. So it kind of gives you that unique experience. You're not several hands in there. I was listening to Piero talk on his...
Oh, from WD. Yeah.
Yeah. His little episode here, and he was like, I'm a little hard in the kitchen, and some people say I'm hard to work with sometimes because, kind of abrupt, and he has a certain way, but and a lot of passion, right? Same with me. Like, I'm feeling that all the time. So it's not hard to work for me. It's just you have to have a certain set of standards, and there's not a lot of people that want to do it and do it at the level we do it consistently. They want to switch things up more or be more of a like a chef kind of, let's recreate something every week or every day. We're making pizza to make it consistent, to make it quality, to make it good. So I tell them it's not a high profile job where you're like, oh, hey, we're mixing it up every week, but we're not dialing up the plates and coming up with new menu items.
You unabashedly serve a delicious slice of pizza on a paper plate with a napkin. New York style.
New York style. New York pizza, New York attitude.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we like to get it done up there. We sell a lot of slices out the window. We got a window on the sidewalk up there on Maple Street in Benson.
I love the slice window. I think that might be the only walk-up slice window, like, in the tri-state area, maybe?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we're the only one now. I know there was a place in Lincoln and a couple other places that have windows, so to speak. But I would say true slice where you walk up, order a slice. We reheat it just like they do in New York. So we rethermalize it is what I say. But people are like, what does that mean? I'm like... Just we put it in another little oven with a stone.
You have a dedicated oven, or two don't you?
Two dedicated ovens, yeah, and that's the beauty of a New York slice, right? Like the reheat of it is where you get that extra crisp and that chew where you're like a little bit of char, and it's just it's a better slice after it sits, kind of marries everything together. Yeah. It's kind of like, hey man, we've just been hanging out here. Oh, let's get together in the oven again, and then boom, you get a different magical slice. They're both great, the New York out of the oven if you're eating in or whatever, but the one if you order a slice, it's a little different. It's got a little bit more crisp and chew to it just because of the twice bake method.
It is. Yeah. We'll have to circle around to that. And you were saying, as far as the environment there, you make everything there's very approachable. I dig the fact you got a video game in the back, you got some good music playing, you got the walk-up window, and I think the very first time I had actually encountered you, head pizzaiolo at Virtuoso there, I can't remember if you had either just wheeled in a Schwinn bicycle into the restaurant. This is way back. This is before you even remodeled and whatnot, because you've got an old school banana seat Schwinn bike, and I hear rumors that you've every once in a while been riding that down Maple Street in Benson. It's happened?
Yeah, so we still do that quite regularly. My wife and myself, we have a 68 lemon peeler and a 70 pea picker, Schwinn's with the 5-speed, full suspension bikes. And people are like, you guys ride those? I'm like, they're no fun if you just hang them on the wall. So, yeah, we ride those. And, like I said, so you might come to the pizzeria and experience a note on the window that says... back in 20 minutes went on a bike ride. And, that's for our sanity and for the love of your food,
Yeah.
So we need a little break every once in a while, and that's how we break it up. We go for a little ride up and down the circuit, and that's just through the Benson area. And, yeah, then we come back and we make pizza. So
that's perfect.
We do 4 days a week, Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And, what we do is quality. I would say second-generation family of Losole's doing restaurants in the Omaha area.
Yeah,
Like,
so get into that a little bit because people are going to recognize that name.
yeah, so a little extra history is my parents started, well, they had a restaurant we'll go way back to, we'll say late 70s, early 80s. They had a place on 213 South 19th Street.
South 19th.
Yeah, it's a parking garage now.
Oh, man.
It's located next to an alleyway there. But used to be, you were able to, like, stand out front of the place and hold the parking meter for your mom while she circled back so she can get the prime spot, you know?
Yeah.
Can't do that nowadays.
No.
She was just a block off the main drag of where people would walk for lunch and stuff. So she was probably the original hot dog person downtown. She had an old Coca-Cola cart, and she had a cooler behind us, the Coca-Cola cart. We had tacos and hot dogs that we would sell.
Good combo.
Yeah, and we would capture the cars at the red lights or the people, or we would direct them up to what the restaurant, Losole's Landmark, was doing up the road there, you know, and then had 6 kids, and, you know, they did that for a lot of years. And then kind of my dad went into food service for a little bit, and then he was country club chef for quite a number of years.
Oh, wow.
He was country club chef at Happy Hollow Country Club.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I believe he was country club chef there before Losole's Landmark, and then after that he was a chef at, you know, the Field Club, and then he had the opportunity, him and my mom, to do a Solo Mio down in a little neighborhood, when they kind of modeled it after 3 of their favorite Italian places across the country.
Oh,
and
cool.
That came up with the concept of the bread, the tomato basil, the olive oil at the table, you know, the whole welcoming family, the big plates. And, you know, my mom was always a genius at the customer service aspect of it, you know.
Yeah.
And I was in the kitchen and the front and back a lot. And they're both entirely different animals, right?
Sure.
You have to speak and do a different way out front. And in the kitchen, you know, you're a little more straight to the point.
Right.
And things are exponential and a sense of urgency, but not crazy and not chaotic or messy. Nobody wants to eat from the crazy person, you know, just throwing stuff everywhere, you know.
Right.
So there's got to be a system, and that's where I learned a lot of my systems, and, you know, learned to cook as a kid from my mom and then my dad, you know, in the restaurant business, and lots of other different little chefs and cooks and people that invite me and let me into their kitchen along the way. That's the best way to learn for me.
What took you to pizza? What took you to open Virtuoso and do it different? Because you're not running a pasta-based Italian restaurant. You're running your thing. So what kind of led you that way?
Well, it's funny you say your thing, and my dad would always tell me in the kitchen when I would say, let's do this or let's do that. He'd say, hey, when you get your place, you do it your way, you know. So I'd be like, oh, okay, you know. So now I do it my way, which is keep it simple, stupid, the KISS rule. I chose pizza kind of because pizza chose me, if you will.
I like this, yes.
So I'm a guy of the universe. I put things out into the atmosphere. I believe in positive energy, and you get what you project out there. So there was a time where, you know, I was exiting the Solo Mio, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go on my own. And I wasn't really going to do pizza. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. Some sort of Italian, maybe Italian steakhouse possibly is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I was going to do it somewhere down in the old market. And then through life and circumstances, life happens. So the universe presented me with an opportunity to get a building up in the Benson area that was a pizza shop for, like, I think 25 years or something to that degree. So
oh, wow.
It was already a pizza shop, right?
Yeah.
And it was a shotgun location, meaning it's 20 by 70.
Okay.
And I went in and I was asking people, you know, hey, you know, I was scouting it out before we committed, and what do you guys sell the most of? You guys, you know, what's going on up here? It's flanked by lots of entertainment, lots of bars with different music and different venues going on. We do a thing up there called Benson First Friday. They block off military for a lot of the months of the year, a lot of the vendors and tents up there. So it's really a great space up there. So I was like, well, do you sell a lot of these little, the guy tells me, oh, you know, we sell these little personal pizzas all the way up to these big ones and stuff. And I said, well, do you sell a lot of them personal ones? He said, no. A lot of those people just leave because they don't want to wait.
Oh, okay.
Because they're going to a concert or something starting, you know. So I was like, oh, fresh coming back from San Francisco and getting certified up there. And I was like, you know, I think I'm going to put a window in right here. I'm going to put a slice window in right here.
Yeah.
And we're going to do like Gemignani. Tony Gemignani is a mentor / friend, I guess you'd say. and he's the guy's certified pizzaiola, considered one of the best pizza makers in the world. Lots of world championships, taught thousands of people across the country, all over the world. Yeah, a lot of people. I bought his book, but.
Well, you went to school, so I couldn't go.
Well, I couldn't comprehend his book, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to call this guy up, and I'm going to go to his school. And it actually started when I was in Vegas eating at one of his places, and I asked, hey, can I go back and see, is this guy here? And they said, no, he's not. He's accessible, but he's got, these places around blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, okay. So I buy the book because, the waitress, she was directing me. She's like, he's got a cookbook. You can get this. It's called the Pizza Bible. I was like, okay. So I get the Pizza Bible. I'm like, I'm going to learn to make this pizza because there's not a lot of places making pizza like this. I think Dante was like the only one that was on my radar at the time.
Yeah.
And he was out west, so I was like, I think I can put a pizza place into this space that we projected, right?
Yeah.
The next thing you know, I'm like, I can't figure this out through this book. I'm going to call this guy because there's a number, to go to the school. And he asks you some questions to make sure you're legit. And so when I'm there, and I think I can brag this up now, he's no longer has a pizza school. He's
that is correct.
Very successful franchisor now. So he has, X amount of franchises going on. So he gave up the school part of it. But I think I'm pretty much the only one in that school that went through. I called up and I was like, hey, I'll be there this week. Is it possible? I'm just going to be solo. Can I just come and work in your kitchen? At the time, I wanted to do a show just like Any Kitchen USA, like where I go into their kitchen and I can cook with any crew, or maybe it was a home kitchen and you drop me in and we just raid your cupboard and make whatever.
Do something.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I said, do you think I can cook in your kitchen? And he kind of paused and he was like, well, we never had anybody do that before or ask that before. So, I don't know, And so I hung up and I told my wife. She goes, well, what did he say? I said, well, he didn't say no. So I go there. Long story short, I ended up getting to, befriend a guy named Matt Molina, who's also a world champion, and work in his kitchen when he was running Capo's up around the corner. Tiago, I can't think of his last name. He's another world champion. Laura Meyer and Tony Gemignani. Those were the people that kind of taught me to respect the craft, the science of it, and what high volume, really good quality pizza looks like and tastes like. So, credit to a lot of that, of what I do. I even have people coming from San Francisco and go, man, lots of good similarities here between these two places. I thought, when they read the history or see or go, you went to his school. Okay. Now it makes sense why this pizza tastes like this.
That's awesome. So you got the slice window going in. You've got the interior, so now you can provide a full-size pizza or a slice to go, so for your hungry concert goers or whoever is dropping by. And I think during COVID, too, that kind of worked out kind of nice because you didn't need to make a window. You already had one. You could, slice outside because the interior was closed for a little while, too, right?
Yeah, actually 22 months. We had.
Oh, my gosh, it was almost 2 years.
Yeah, because COVID factor in there, but also they had the sidewalk closed.
That's right, because all the construction.
The Benson Theater, so that was closed. I ordered at the time a new oven from Italy, and it became a nightmare to get. It took supposed to take 3 to 6 months, about 4 months max. So I figured, okay, this will work out perfect. It came closer to the 9-month mark, and then when it came, the top part of it was wrecked, which just meant it was going to be 2 more months.
Oh my gosh!
And then the hood didn't, so I was like, well, we'll run with one oven. But the guy I bought it from actually was like, oh, I'm going to just, I'm going to save $1,000 and just use this show model hood, and send it. But he wasn't thinking they redid the models for the new model. It's 3/4 of an inch.
Oh, so it didn't fit.
Yeah, so my son and I are trying to damn near rip this hood apart, so we can at least work with one deck. So, 22 months, the sidewalk closed, COVID, oven delays, reimagining who we were as what we were going to come back as.
Yeah.
And, we got a little small market with a deli case up there now.
Yeah.
Still got the slices going on. You can get some Millie coffee from us. Lots of the little condiments in there, the house sausage, Italian sausage, and the ropes, 3-pound ropes. We have a fruit cup now that we do, little charcuterie boards from Oli and Columbus Meats. We kind of been trying to add and mix things in there a little bit. So some grab-and-go stuff. Some entrees will be coming. And then, Wednesday through Saturday, it's it's pretty much just, let's go. We're busy, busy, busy. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't come. We get everybody in and out in about 20 minutes. There's people that come sometimes that go, nobody's in here right now. And it is a weird vibe because it's always a loud vibe. It's always the music, and the music's what makes me go.
Spot.
Yeah, so that would be probably our number one complaint is, the music is too loud. But it's not really too loud. It's just the right amount of BPM, which is beats per minute, to make me, be the guy back there with my son for 10, 12 hours in a day, 4 days in a row, enjoying what we're doing, kind of rocking out, making pizza.
One thing that I kind of like on how you have your kitchen set up is you've got quite the system back there. You said early on when we were talking here that nobody wants to buy food from the crazy kitchen where stuff is all over the place. You go back in your kitchen and you've got things nicely portioned out, ready to go. You're able to, you keep a pretty tight ship back there. That's a pretty cool system you got going.
Yeah, thank you. And that is one of the best things that I hear as a compliment is from the health department guy when he comes in or she comes in. They're like, they either tell me they heard about my kitchen or they're like, oh, wow, if every kitchen was like this, we would not have a job.
Easy peasy, right?
Yeah, so we practice safe, quality food handling. We wear gloves when we handle, so if I'm making the fresh fruit cup, I'm going to handle the cup, the veg or the fruits with the gloves for the bacteria, because that's going to absorb in there and any raw meats. But man, if we're handling cheese and the pepperoni and we're topping your pies and we're opening pizzas and ladling out for the day, those kinds of things we don't wear gloves for because they're unnecessary. We would literally be switching gloves every single task. We have 3 wash stations with nail brushes, and we practice hygiene. So when you come into our kitchen and you look, the floor is immaculate. It can be a busy Friday night, and it looks just like a Tuesday lunch shift, in there. But that's because of the system. Everything is weighed, portioned. We weigh your lettuce out. Everything is calculated and made with thought, we do a GBD there, which is Get Better Daily, which for us isn't, the recipes, those are rooted in what we do.
Sure.
So we're not trying to change those up, But maybe the delivery system or, how we maybe stack something or the flow. So everything can be a little bit better, a little more dialed in, working with other people. And we don't work with a lot of people, but when we do, it's the people that come to work for us, they have to be able to handle a lot of pressure fast because it comes in waves, and it comes hard, and it might be empty. Back to my point, you might walk in, it might be empty, but you walk out the door and you don't see maybe 5 minutes later the entire place is like half full, 30 people, or 20 people walked in at once, or it just comes and goes, and we're to be ready at all times. That's the key,
Well, that's cool, and what I like is, and I've done both. I've done takeout. I've done the slice window, which is convenient. Come in the other day when I saw you, I just had a slice. My co-host and TJ and I came in and we ordered the whole dang menu, and so you can do many different things. But when I was in there eating a slice, one thing you said that you need your staff to be able to handle the pressure and things. I think communication seems really key because I know you're back of house with your pizza peel, you're opening dough, you're throwing pies, you're making fruit cups, whatever, and then front of house is making sure they're taking orders and getting things out. And I heard you guys communicating real nice between each other. Okay, I had a to-go order on my way out. It's like we got a meatball sandwich, no spice, or however you said it. Back. It's like heard whatever. And,
so you want to know the funny thing? My wife and my son, I'm used to working with them. I love them a whole ton. So sometimes it's easy to go from 0 to hey, this is what I said, or this is coming out with a little more vocality, but not I'm yelling, but to the common ear, they're like, man, that guy is back there just yelling right now. But, even if I'm just by myself, that's the rhythm. That's the rhythm of the kitchen. I want to say when you were there, actually, there was nobody in the kitchen helping me, but I yelled it out.
Yeah.
Because if I don't yell it out, I don't really remember it. But by yelling it out from the start of my day to the end of my day, if we might do, 250, 300 people on a Friday night, right? That's clicking.
Yeah.
And I can pretty much tell you about every single ticket that went out, what it was. A week ago, my wife was gone. It was just me. I was having to do double time up at the front, which she's a maniac because she answers the phone, does the pizzas, puts them in the oven, reheats them, takes, she's like the backbone of the place. I'm just kind of like, hey, I make it look good with the food, but she makes it really work the way
makes
it
it
works.
happen.
Yeah, and then, you got my son on dough that keeps it consistent for us. So it's really a team effort up there, but to be able to go through your day and go, okay, I know every one of these tickets. I actually called down to the place. I'm like, I forgot to give this guy a side of pesto. He ordered and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I was just going through my ticket checklist in my head because I'm always striving for the A plus, right?
Sure.
And you don't always get it, but that's what you go for. That's the part about being consistent, and I joke with people, but I'm also very serious about it when I say, so if I come in to your establishment and it's mediocre food, okay, and then I choose to come back and it's kind of mediocre, okay, then I accept the price and the quality and everything. That's just kind of mediocre, right? But don't stray from mediocre. Make that your consistency.
Just be consistent.
Yeah, don't shock me one day and be like, oh my gosh, this is out of this world, and then one day it's down here at the bottom or something. We started kind of at a very high level of consistency and pride. I have a lot of pride that we do up there. That's why I put the last name, was to show family pride, and also to let people know, hey, my parents had a very successful restaurant for 30 years, Losole Mio, up there on 32nd Ave. They retired, thank God, at their age. They deserve it. And so they're enjoying life right now, but I'm second generation of Italian Losole family carrying on a restaurant, and my family is restaurant orientated. I'll say my dad, my brother, my mom, and my uncle, I believe, are all in the Omaha Metro Hall of Fame for Culinary Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah. When you think about that, it's kind of like,
oh.
So, but I respect the craft, and I honor the old world way that I was kind of schooled in how to do it, and that's just what we pride ourselves on. So
I love it. You're putting your heart and soul into the ingredients and to preparation and everything that comes out. I mean, I think every time I've been there, you're always checking with the guests. How's your pizza? How's it? And what I also love is you're so willing to share the excellence and the things that you have learned with others. When I was there, several times, if there's a little kid eating some pizza and with their parents, and they're interested in what you're doing back there, you'll show them what's going on.
Yeah, and they're good kids. I don't want to interject, but for the record, though, if you can inspire a young kid at a young age, right, and they're already well-mannered and a good kid, right? Like, I'm not taking the kid that's kicking his sister under the table or, whatever. But the good kids in there, they love the pizza part of it, or just the whole interacting. I say, hey, you want to come make a pizza, or you want to come check this out? Or it's a memory. It's something they'll probably never forget. I remember being a kid going down to Buddha's. It was an old Italian grocery store, and he had the big olive buckets in the front with the big ladle, and he would slice the salami for us, and Al would give us a slice of the salami to try.
That's awesome.
So you get that little piece of salami, this is so good. So, even as an adult, I love olives and salami. Who doesn't?
Well, and you're talking about it now, so obviously it did forge a memory for you, because here we are.
Yeah.
And so you're creating those memories for these new youngins growing up.
Yeah, and part of that I learned, I would say, from my mom, and just the experience of how they handled people and things at Losole Mio, and how it was ingrained in a lot of people that I talk to, even my customers that will be like, hey, I'm from Columbus, and every birthday or every anniversary we would drive down here for, Losole's to feed us. So it was nice creating memories for people.
At Virtuoso, so you were talking about how, you've got the slice ovens in the front. So if you're going to get a slice, you have pies in the case, and your wife or whoever is up front is usually going to grab that slice and throw it in the oven there. How does that process differ, maybe temperature-wise or preparation-wise, from making a whole pie in the larger ovens? Or do you par bake them to a certain point, or how does that work? How do you make it happen?
Yeah, so when we do that process there, they're cooked obviously in our big ovens.
Yeah.
Those are at 550 degrees.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then many factors go into running a pizza oven, right? Like, you have to recovery time.
Yeah.
Right? And so the stones are going to suck up some of the heat, and so you got to land the pizza and turn it in the same area. You're not constantly moving it, but the next pizza gets its own hot spot, and you kind of do a little serpentine, Tetris type thing up in there. So with that said, that's the big oven, the
Yeah.
reheat oven, right? So we put a little color on them. We don't like them too blonde up front because our pizzas do come lightly charred with a little bit of color. And in order to get that, we would have to put it in the reheat oven for maybe like 6-7 minutes, and that's just not really realistic for somebody. It's a quick slice. It's not instant, but we're running that oven at about 400.
Okay.
Up front. So it's got a stone. It's a Baker's Pride stone on the bottom. It's a double deck, 20-inch. We've been in pinches before where I've had to actually land a whole pizza in each oven just to, make the order happen. But since we've got our new oven, we haven't had that issue. But
those new ovens are pretty. They're really nice.
Yeah, they're big Capone electric ovens from Italy, double stack. Got room for one more, but I don't think we're there in volume, and we have a good business. It's nice and steady, and our dough is kind of limited because our cooler space is limited, and our dough will just segment right into. You wanted to talk about dough, so
I do.
Okay, so our dough is it's made with a live culture or natural starter. It's a poolish. It's kind of like, we'll just say it's 50-50 mix of water and flour. And then it naturally germinates over time, and time becomes your friend as long as you take care of it, right? So we store him in the cooler. He becomes dormant like a reptile. We bring him out. He becomes active. We steal from him. And we're doing this process, and I'm like, hey, you got to feed that. Make sure you feed that. And so our starter is named Frank because of this, feeding, taking, and feeding. And I'm telling my son, hey, did you feed that? Make sure you fed that, And he's like, okay, Dad, if I have to feed this thing every day, I'm going to give it a name. I said, all right, what's his name? And he's like, his name is Frank Poolish, because it's a Poolish. So Frank Poolish, I believe he was born 4/23 of 2017.
Who is he? He's been around for a while.
Yeah, so we opened up May 5th of 2017, and fresh out of construction mode and right into making pizza mode. So it was a learning process. I would say we were successful enough to still be here after 6 years, but if you looked at my pizzas today versus what they look like 6 years ago, not that the ingredients changed. This is part of the GBD process, right?
Yeah.
The Get Better Daily, right? Maybe it was the way we baked it, the way the dough was stored, at night versus, how did we stack it? Did we put enough oil? Kind of that whole learning process of what's working. Did we pull it out enough to slack it? Was it cold when we put it in the oven? Did somebody pull the dough out or the sauce out and make sure it's room temperature? Because you don't want to be putting cold ingredients into a hot oven because the recovery time will be incredibly long. So the goal is to have a flow that you can do, and not endless because there is no endless, but that you can do consistently at a high level that is a quality product at the end. And that is my goal. We search for the highest quality ingredients. Anything that's organic that we can get, we do. I source and get all my own products. Matter of fact, if you asked all of the people that have ever delivered produce or grocery to us, even beer, they don't get past my back door. I got like an 8-foot runner mat, and that's where I make them all stop. And they're all like amazed when they very first come, if they're a first timer, like, what? You don't want me to put this in the walk-in cooler or run it through your thing? I know. Have you seen that alley you just came to? That's my restaurant. That's my walk-in cooler. That's where we store food. And then, another thing, I hold them up. If it's a produce order, I go through all my produce, and if they don't have what I like, I send it back. And if I have to go source it somewhere else and I can go pick it up, then I do that as well,
That's your first check. I mean, even the ServSafe certification and stuff, too, is like that's your first entry point into the restaurant is to check that stuff out, make sure everything's okay before it even makes it in there.
Absolutely.
So, well, and you had mentioned Frank Poolish. I got to meet Frank. So that was nice. You took me back there. Got to meet Frank. Frank's been alive for a while, and so you have a naturally leavened pizza. I know some places will also, after you mix the dough or when you're going to let the actual dough balls ferment, add an extra yeast-like kick. Do you spike your dough, or is it just Frank?
No, so it's a little mix of both.
Nice. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So because we're only taking maybe we'll say 10% or 5% of Frank to make the dough.
Because Frank has to continue on. You got
Frank, we got Frank kind of up there a little bit in weight.
Yeah.
He might be, like a 150-pound guy.
Ooh,
but he's in the garbage can.
Yes.
That's sanitized. Obviously,
I've seen it. It's very clean.
Yeah,
promise.
And it's on wheels, and we wheel him out and wheel him back, and we let him sit out there, and we kind of yell at him sometimes or talk Italian to him, but
smack him around a little bit.
Yeah, he's got to have attitude. And if you've ever been into the cooler and you see the dough balls, right? So Frank, he'll go into the dough with a little bit of the all the ingredients, and so we'll bloom our yeast into the water, and it goes in components, and that's part of a system, right? Like, I guess you could throw all of the ingredients in. I've seen it done before. But that's not the way that you would do it. You would take it and break it down into steps, and the percentages that you're going to use, you lay and weigh those all out.
Right.
This would be the science of it. You try to make it as early in the day and as consistently at that time as possible.
At the same time, right?
Ideally, that's what you want, that environment. And then we live in season changes, right? So it's very important to, when they do change, and lately we've been getting like this crazy, like we got the heat.
Well, it was almost 90 when I came in the other day, and today, as you and I are talking, it's like, I don't know, 66 or 70 outside.
Yeah, I was like, wow, and it's rainy and overcast, and next week it'll be 100.
Right.
So you have to have conscious of what is surrounding us, right? So your dough, your flour, your product has to be stored properly, made same time generally every morning with the same process. Everything is weighed. Even though you do it every single day, right? It's kind of boring to probably the person that, or it's not really boring, but it's, if you're wanting to be that guy that's on TV that's showing his culinary expertise every single plate, right?
Yeah.
This isn't the job for you. This is a science of love and consistency. We're weighing it, we're temping it, we're portioning it into a certain size. It's a small bulk fermentation process, and then we put it into balls, and then we put it into a cooler and cold ferment it. And so we do that cold fermentation. I mean, I've done them 2 days. That's like the minimum, but honestly, I don't really like doing them 2 days. They're kind of tough. We want them to be a little lighter, a little better on your digestive. 3 days is really
because the yeast are doing some of that pre-work for your digestion there.
They're eating all the sugars and making it be digestible for you and giving you the flavor from Frank to kind of marry into the whole ball of dough. And, that's the basis for what you're going to lay everything down on. It's like the foundation of your house.
And Frank, so the thing is with a poolish, with that pre-ferment, and I won't ask you to give away any industry trade secrets or anything, but so it sounds like you're adding a little bit of a little yeast spike, so you make sure you get the right rise that you're looking for, plus the flavor from Frank. Mixing that together, it sounds like you use a little bit of oil in your dough.
Yeah, oil, salt, and a browning agent.
Perfect. Your longer ferment is 2 days, you said, bare minimum. What's your bulk ferment before you put it into dough balls?
So just on the table, maybe an hour, 2 hours.
Just to get a little chance to relax a little bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of just doing, hanging out there again. Yeah. Everything likes to hang out. For me, leftovers are better than the actual, So if you gave me some good red sauce and pasta to eat today, and I was like, oh man, that was really good.
Yeah.
And you put it in the refrigerator, and I pull it out and I have it for lunch or something tomorrow. It's like, oh man,
even better.
That was really, really good.
When you first mix the dough, and I'm assuming you've got to use a mixer because you've got to use a ton. You're mixing it by hand. That's all you'd be doing all day. So from when you first put that first mix together, and then you let it sit on the bench for like an hour or so, how does the dough change from that first mix to right before you put it into that ball stage?
So it's more relaxed, right? So it's coming out. We got the spiral with the post, right? So it's a little more gentle. It's not a spiral, it's just the post.
Sure.
Spiral is just a spiral, right? And that'll generate a little more heat. So you got to watch it. But our methodology that we use, once it comes out, it's going to be between 60 and nothing over 70, right? It's nice and easy, soft dough, but it becomes more relaxed.
Yeah.
So you can tell if the kid rushed it. So if I maybe come in a little bit later and my son's already starting to ball it, because I'll let him do his thing and get his morning acclimated, and he turns everything on and gets it ready, gets the dough started. And I usually try to slide in there somewhere around the dough's already on the table being relaxed, and then I'll go, let's go. We'll cut it and we'll bang it out and put it in the cooler, and then we'll start the day and make the pies. But sometimes if you come in and it's like, oh, you're rolling already, he'll either have gotten there early or he was just like, couldn't wait for me any longer.
Just moving through it.
Yeah, let's do it. But it still becomes 3 days in the cooler. So we always say, we have a saying up there: nothing Russian, only Italian. So
I love it. Well,
it works good.
How did you just come to make your pizza dough? Did you just decide to say, hey, I'm going to make an awesome New York slice and I want it to taste like this? Or I'm just kind of curious because I'm working on figuring out my own pizza dough. I've made a lot of other people's recipes. I want it to smell nice. When it comes out of the oven, I want the dough to smell like something. So I don't know if I want to feed a sourdough culture every day, but I like a pre-ferment, making a short-term biga or poolish the day before.
Yeah, like 18 hours, let it sit on the counter kind of deal.
Yeah, so
get a little flavor. You can gain a lot from that.
Right, so I'm kind of middle ground. So that's kind of the things I'm thinking about. I guess, how do you like your pizza?
No, I mean, I would just say, like if you're going to do it at home and you don't want to feed the starter and keep that in your refrigerator, so it's Wednesday and you're going to make some pizza on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Make yourself that little biga starter and just let it sit there, in an area of the house that's, in a kind of cool, dark place. It's probably going to double in size, so you need to
give it some room. Yeah,
give it some room. And then just whatever it is that you're making when you make the pizza, just have fun and love it. Honestly, that's the key that's our number one ingredient. And I always tell everybody that works for me, hey, the people that are eating our food, they can tell if you're smiling when you make the food. Like if you're not happy making the food, they're not happy eating the food. My key to my success of what we do is we found the New York slice. We feel like we got it dialed in pretty good, and we stay where we're at. So to be level on a daily where we come in, we calculate it, I wanted to have everybody in the pizza place, right? So everybody's like, there's this best tag, and I get quite a bit of people that are the best, you're the best, you're the best. So in order to be really like the best, then you have to be like the best ambassador of pizza. Matt Frampton, he's been on here before.
He has,
We have a lot of things going on. We need 2 segments. But Frampton and I are about to do some traveling for his business.
Awesome.
And he's a genius in a whole nother level, right? And when I first met him, I couldn't get pizza on my plate. And my wife comes in, she goes, hey, who's in here eating with the pizza plate? Find out. And I'm like, what? And I meet this guy, and his name's Matt Frampton. He tells me he's got the pizza plate. I'm like, dude, I had to get pizza with the number 1, the number 1 instead of it because somebody had pizza. I didn't know it was you. We met.
Same license plate.
Same license plate, like a prestige plate, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, dude, what? You got well, okay, you're number 1 anyway, like the number.
So you guys
1.
are like, we're out eating somewhere?
No, he came into my pizzeria.
Oh.
And my wife had dropped off a kid from school or whatever, have to do the whole family
and
thing.
she sees the license plate and like, wait.
She's like, hey, man, someone's in here eating with the pizza plate. Like who has that? And so,
that's too funny.
And I talk to everybody that comes in there,
especially if they got a pizza license plate.
Well, yeah, if that gets on my radar, I'm like, hey, who has this plate? So I meet Matt, and I kind of run it by him. I'm like, hey, man, I want to shoot a couple crazy ideas out to him and do this pizza thing. And he's telling me, he's a champion barbecuer, but he's getting into this pizza thing, and and then COVID kind of hit, and we lost touch a little bit, and then Strawhecker from Dante, Nick Strawhecker, he comes in, and I'm like, oh man, anytime a pizza person comes in, like it's an honor. It's definitely an honor, and one of the things I say is we're the place where pizza owners come to eat pizza because I get a lot of them in there, and it's a respect thing. Like I respect what they do. I respect what all the pizzerias, anybody that has any type of business that somebody gives them money to go eat their food, right?
Sure.
They're winning. So I don't really do the judge thing on. I might judge your parallel parking up there, but I don't judge you on the quality of your customers or what you do or your price points or any of that stuff. As long as you're doing it and people are paying you and you care about it, then hey man, God bless you. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And so through the community of being a good ambassador for pizza and people trying to make me be a number one, I thought, okay, what would a number one do? Learn from his mentors. There's other people that do things like I'm doing here. So I just took the lead and said, I'm going to start this Metro Omaha Pizza Alliance.
Yeah.
I reached out to as many people via text or email or direct messenger or however I can
get them.
However I can get them. And I did multiple blasts over like a 3-week period. And then I set a thing. And, I think like I had 11 or 13 pizzerias come, probably 15 that were wanted to be committed and 3 that have since been added, right? So I would say we have about, 17 to 18 people ranging from all the way out 204th Street to down on 13th Street. So like the Via Farina, then there's the back lot in Exarban and way out on 204th. We got Dan Reed from 00. I feel like I should almost name them all if I can think of them off the top of my head, but we got Coniglia Zalmano, the La Casas guys.
Well, and how cool the amount of pizza places in Omaha that care enough that are putting those things in, and all those places you rattled off, everybody's got a totally different style of pizza.
Over the years and being efficient in kitchens, the MOPA made sense to share knowledge with everybody that's doing it so you're not alone, to network, to share ideas with each other, source good products. It's really about that sense of community and not necessarily being the best, but being the best ambassador.
Well, and maybe even it's striving for being the best at what you want to do for yourself, for your pizza, for your thing. So that's awesome. So MOPA, so you guys are, and girls and anybody that wants to join, right, are collaborating between these different smaller restaurants, right? You don't have the big chains and or anything like that. And so you're talking about ingredients, process. You're just kind of helping each other be the best at what you want to do. Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah, that's it. Like-minded individuals sharing ideas and kind of celebrate yourself for getting out of bed, being your own boss, doing it. These big chains, they have little percentages where they have national marketing campaigns that help them drive business. But there's a line. Yes, these guys are local, but most of the people that are having chain restaurants no one's driving in from corporate out wherever it is and working the counter. That's a local kid or, guy or girl, whatever the person may be. So there again, you're choosing what your platform is. Is it quick? Is it fast? Is it inexpensive? Am I feeding how many people? So all those dynamics play into it. But
that's
for us Pizzaiola guys that are independents, this is just like, so everybody hosts one. They don't have to. Just it organically happened. I hosted the first one. Then I think Frank's Pizzeria was like, hey, I want to host the second one. And so he hosted it, and then Dante did, and I believe we're getting ready to do, maybe I want to do so we got some guys that have food trucks and different things that aren't brick and mortar, so they're going to take over like trucks and taps, and I think we're going to make that one more like a family type deal, like kind of the end of the summer deal. Maybe do some gunny sack races or an egg toss or balloon toss, or
make it a big fun thing.
Just have watermelon and pizza and just hang out and run around outside.
So you went to Gemignani School. I know Frampton did also. I think you're the only two guys in the area that did that, right? Yeah. You've got Strawhecker, who's got Dante, and is like the only DOP certified, VPN certified pizza in the area. So you've got a lot of pizza brain power in one place.
And then you got La Casa. They just celebrated 70 years.
Right. So with all this brain power in one location, though, have there been any really cool discoveries or just collaborations where you guys have been talking and somebody says, "Oh, I didn't think of that," or what have been the fruits of your labor? Have you guys been able to solve some problems together or things like that?
Well, so the first one was just like, "Hey, who wants to come?"
Okay.
All right. The second one was like, "Okay, hey, this is kind of now it'll become a thing. We should have some kind of guidelines."
Sure.
And so the third one, we set some points of interest that we wanted to speak about. We talked about those.
Got it.
And then the next one that's coming up will be kind of the solidification of the MOPA.
So we're at the beginning of this
You're
still.
at the very infant stages of this.
Okay.
September. So it'll be a year in September. September, we hosted the first one at Virtuoso Pizzeria. And we're going to have some bylaws and You have to participate. You can't just be, hey, I want to be a member, but never come to any of the meetups or offer any information or
it's a collaboration.
You can't just say it to be part of it because it's cool now.
You don't just get a sticker on the window. You gotta
participate, and all that really means is just value the people that are in it with you. If you have something like that you want to share, and the first one I organized, I was like, okay, let's see who's using Grande cheese and Corto olive oil, and who's using Stanislaus tomatoes or Chow tomatoes, and let's try to get some quality ingredients that aren't special ordered, so that everything I order is in a special order. But also, if you do better, other people do better. And if you hang out with people that care about quality and success and not 33 cents or something to that effect. So I'm not monetarily driven by anything that I do. Money is fundamental, but it's not nowhere near the top of anything that would make me happy, right? Like doing something at a high level, having the people around you that are happy, family, friends, memories. Those are the things that are like the important things in life. And then money. Yes, you can go further and do more and stuff, but even if you don't have any money, I mean, I grew up with no money, and those are my best memories and my best stories, and they're food-centric, and food feeds the soul, and you break bread with people. It's different than just spending $20 with them and never knowing them. You just walked into that place, and you never know anything about them, and my whole team will say, I'll come back and I'll go, do you know that guy or you know that lady? They did, they're this many years old, they have this many kids, they're in from this place, or they're doing this or this or this, and they'll go, how did you get that? I go, it's just the way that you talk to people, right? So you engage, it's not about you, it's about an experience, and I think that's where my real GBD is, right? So when I first came in, it was kind of like, very much like, hey, no one rulies, and just this is my way, we're doing it this way. And because I'm a little over 50 now, and the mind is different, like your palate changes every 7 years, your mind also, you go, okay, it shouldn't be this much stress, it shouldn't be that hard, it's not really worth that struggle, whatever. So you just kind of deliver things more and just try to be
I think to kind of put all the slices together in one pizza pie. A couple of things that you said that I kind of wanted to bring together. And one is, a few times we talked about the Get Better Daily. I absolutely love that. And I love the fact that you had said to be the best, you wanted to help others achieve more. What would the best person do? The best person would help others get even better. So whether that's your systems at the restaurant, the ingredients you're looking for, or MOPA collaborating together, you're striving to help yourself and others because you're going to learn and you're going to increase that. The other thing is you had mentioned about the pizza community, and this is something even reading all those books or whatever you and I are talking about, but locally here too, everybody's so collaborative. Everybody will talk to you about the ingredients. It's like Brett at Izzy's. There's no shame in what tomatoes he's got. He's got a can of the tomatoes right out there. He'll tell you exactly what tomatoes he uses, right? You all are talking about those things. And then the other aspect besides the Get Better Daily and constant improvement and striving for perfection, we had talked about Piero from WD Cravings, and I think he said on the show that perfection is an ideal. It's something you strive for and you continue to get better. But the other piece,
there's no real perfection, right?
That's you work
it's like fake, but it's fun to say you're looking for or you're trying to be. Like if I go through my day, you want to be perfect, but there is no perfect, and perfect is really subjective, right?
Exactly,
so subjective.
And pizza, definitely one of those things. There's many excellent pizzas. You can have those good things, but the other piece is the family aspect. As you said, second generation, your restaurant, your way.
My son is the third generation.
Third now.
He worked at Losole Meal with me. Angelo runs the dough. He's my dough guy. He's the dough system guy, right?
Yeah.
So, it is. And then I got my youngest son, Mason, that works there. And my other two sons kind of work there a little bit, but they're like, no, Dad is way too aggressive when he talks to us here. My other two boys they're both happy with what they do. So,
it's the heart that you're putting into it, and the thing is that you had mentioned kids getting to see what happens in the kitchen. You had mentioned that reward of seeing the smile on your customer's face when they enjoyed something that you made. You've got that heart there, and then you're expanding that heart into collaborating with other like pizza-minded folks who also have heart. And I think that's just kind of all throughout everything you do. And that's cool. And you're all in. You, David Losole, are
Yeah, I
all
tattooed
in.
the pizza right on my hand, you know.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it.
Yeah, literally. Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming to talk with me.
Yes, thank
and
you
if
for having
people
me.
want to see what's going on with Virtuoso Pizza or MOPA or anything, what's the best place to keep in touch with the world of pizza, according to David Losole?
I would say virtuosopizzeria.com, I guess,
Cool.
right? Like our website, you would find it, or just
Your
know.
social's very active as
Yeah,
well,
our
too.
socials are Virtuoso Pizza 23.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
that's our socials for Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I don't do any of those. So when
'Cause you're
David
making
just
pizza.
said that, I was like, oh, this is not my wheelhouse. That's my wife that does all that. I do the cooking and all that, the pizzeria. You come see us at 6056 Maple Street, right in the heart of Benson, right next to the Benson Theater, and down by Haney's Shoes. We're kind of sandwiched in between both of those spots. And then MOPA is something that we're going to get some social presence on here
Cool.
coming up. I got a feeling we're going to do another episode, and I got a couple other things in the social media world that I'm doing. So,
All right.
it should be announced on any of the people that we mentioned's pizza pages as well as ours, because one of the things that we'll do on the MOPA page is profile every pizzeria that's there, their
Sure.
owner, kind of their principles, and what style they do and where they're located,
Love
so
it.
that everybody gets the same amount of love. And that's really, there's enough pizza for everybody, and it shouldn't be such a competition in life, right? Like, if you're feeding your family, you're a good person, and somebody loves you at the end of the day, you just won.
I don't know if we can end it any better than that, except the only other thing that I will say as a cliffhanger is he said that the restaurant was sandwiched in there, and we didn't even talk about the hot beef that's available at Virtuoso. That's delicious. So we're going to end it there. And this is Dave with Saturday Omaha, and thank you so much for spending time with us. And we're going to sign it off here. And as we say, until we eat again, stay hungry. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Our show is recorded and produced by Saturday Omaha. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as email SaturdayOmaha@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and stay hungry.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.